Welcome, friends and fantasy lovers. Today we're diving into the magical world of fantasy literature with a list of 100 must-read fantasy books. Whether you're a longtime fan of the genre or just starting your journey, this list has something for everyone. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfy, and let's explore these fantastical worlds together. Let's start with the timeless classics that have shaped the fantasy genre. First, we have The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings trilogy by J.R.R. Tolkien. These masterpieces set the standard for epic fantasy with their rich world-building and memorable characters. Follow Bilbo Baggins and Frodo on their quest through Middle-earth, battling dark forces and discovering the true meaning of courage. Next, there's The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis, which takes us to the magical land of Narnia, where talking animals, brave children, and the wise lion Aslan fight against the forces of evil. Another cornerstone of the genre is A Game of Thrones by George.R.R. Martin, the first book in the A Song of Ice and Fire series. It's a gritty, complex tale of power and politics that has captivated millions. Don't miss The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan, the beginning of the expansive Wheel of Time series, and The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, where we follow the journey Kvothe, a legendary figure with a mysterious past. High fantasy lovers, rejoice. We have some modern gems for you. The Way of Kings by Sanderson introduces us to a grand world full of magic and heroism. Assassin's Apprentice by Hobb is another must-read, offering a deep dive into the life of a young royal bastard trained as an assassin. The Black Prism by Brent is a unique blend of light and color magic, while The Lies of Lamora by Lynch brings us into the adventurous world of a master thief. Urban fantasy blends the magical with the mundane, creating worlds where the supernatural exists just beneath the surface of our everyday lives. Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere takes us on a dark, urban adventure beneath the streets of London. Stormfront by Jim Butcher introduces Harry Dresden, a modern-day wizard for hire navigating the magical underbelly of Chicago. City of Bones by Cassandra Clare brings us into the world of Shadowhunters, warriors dedicated to ridding the world of demons, and Mooncalled by Patricia Briggs introduces us to Mercy Thompson, a shape-shifting mechanic who finds herself caught up in the supernatural. For those who love their fantasy with a dark twist, we have some great dark fantasy recommendations. Joe Abercrombie's The Blade itself starts his grimdark First Law trilogy, full of morally complex characters and gritty realism. Prince of Thorns by Mark Lawrence follows the ruthless Prince Yorg as he seeks vengeance and power. Peter Brett's The Warded Man presents a world besieged by demons every night. And Stephen King's The Dark Tower, the gunslinger, blends dark fantasy with Western and horror elements. If you're a fan of historical settings infused with magic, try Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke, which imagines a 19th century England where magic is very real. The Night Circus by Aaron Morgenstern tells the story of a magical competition between two young illusionists. The Golem and the Jinni by Helene Wecker blends historical fiction with fantasy as it follows two magical beings in early 20th century New York. Outlander by Diana Gabaldon is a time-traveling romance that blends historical and fantasy elements seamlessly. And The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon presents a dystopian future where clairvoyants are hunted. Magical realism offers a subtler touch of magic in everyday settings. Gabriel Garcia Marquez's 100 Years of Solitude is a seminal work in this genre, weaving a rich tapestry of life in the mythical town of Macondo. The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman is a hauntingly beautiful tale of memory and magic. Like Water for Chocolate by Laura Esquivel blends food and magical realism in a passionate story of love and family, while The House of the Spirits by Isabel Allende explores generations of a family touched by the supernatural. For younger readers, or those young at heart, young adult fantasy offers some fantastic tales. J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone needs no introduction, as it begins the beloved series about the boy who lived. Aragon by Christopher Paolini is the start of the Inheritance cycle, a tale of dragons and destiny. Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas follows the journey of a young assassin in a world of magic and intrigue. Leigh Bardugo's Six of Crows introduces us to a ragtag group of criminals on an impossible heist. And Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan brings modern demigods into the spotlight. Sword and sorcery fans will love classics like Conan the Barbarian by Robert E. Howard, which follows the adventures of the iconic barbarian hero. Michael Moorcock's Elric of Melniboné presents a complex anti-hero in a world of dark magic. Poul Anderson's The Broken Sword is a lesser-known gem, full of Norse mythology and epic battles. Joe Abercrombie's The First Law trilogy, starting with The Blade itself, is a modern classic in the genre. Fairy tale retellings offer fresh takes on familiar stories. Ella Enchanted, by Gail Carson Levine, reimagines Cinderella with a magical twist. Cinder, by Marissa Meyer, brings us a cyborg Cinderella in a futuristic world. Robin McKinley's Beauty is a lovely retelling of Beauty and the Beast. Naomi Novik's Uprooted and Spinning Silver bring rich Eastern European-inspired folklore to life. Mythic fantasy draws on ancient myths and legends to create new stories. The Song of Achilles, by Madeline Miller, retells the story of Achilles and Patroclus with lyrical beauty. Her other book, Circe, gives a voice to the famous enchantress from the Odyssey. Neil Gaiman's American Gods explores the collision of old and new gods in modern America. Homer's The Odyssey, translated by Emily Wilson, is a must-read for any fan of mythic tales, and Marion Zimmer Bradley's The Mists of Avalon reimagines the Arthurian legends from the perspective of the women involved. Science fantasy blends futuristic technology with magical elements. Frank Herbert's Dune is a science fiction epic with mystical undertones. Ursula K. Le Guin's The Left Hand of Darkness explores themes of gender and society on a distant planet. Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn, The Final Empire, combines a unique magic system with a heist story. N.K. Jemison's The Fifth Season blends science fiction and fantasy in a world on the brink of apocalypse. Dan Simmons' Hyperion is a complex, multi-layered tale that combines elements of both genres. Steampunk fantasy offers a unique blend of Victorian aesthetics and futuristic technology. Scott Westerfeld's Leviathan is an alternate history steampunk adventure set during World War I. Jim Butcher's The Aeronaut's Windlass introduces us to a world of airships and steam-powered technology. Cherie Priest's Bone Shaker is set in a zombie-infested Seattle in the late 1800s. China Miéville's Perdido Street Station blends steampunk with dark fantasy, and Gail Carriger's Soulless combines romance, humor, and steampunk elements in a delightful series. Paranormal fantasy brings us into worlds filled with ghosts, vampires, and other supernatural beings. Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire is a classic tale of love, loss, and immortality. Stephenie Meyer's Twilight sparked a global phenomenon with its story of a human-vampire romance. Charlene Harris's Dead Until Dark introduces Sookie Stackhouse, a telepathic waitress in a world where vampires have come out of the coffin. Deborah Harkness's A Discovery of Witches combines history, science, and magic in a tale of forbidden love. Beautiful Creatures by Kami Garcia and Margaret Stoll brings a Southern Gothic twist to the genre. Humorous fantasy offers a lighthearted take on the genre. Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett is a hilarious apocalyptic comedy. Terry Pratchett's The Color of Magic begins the long-running and beloved Discworld series. William Goldman's The Princess Bride is a charming and witty fairy tale adventure. Diana Wynne Jones' Howl's Moving Castle is a delightful blend of magic, romance, and humor. Douglas Adams' The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is a science fiction comedy classic that's sure to make you laugh. Low fantasy features magical elements in a more realistic setting. Lev Grossman's The Magicians is often described as Harry Potter for adults, blending magic with real-world problems. Aaron Morgenstern's The Night Circus tells the story of a magical competition set in a traveling circus. Scott Lynch's The Lies of Locke Lamora brings us into the life of a master thief in a city full of intrigue. Patrick Rothfuss' The King Killer Chronicle, starting with The Name of the Wind, is a deeply personal tale of a young man's journey through a world of magic and mystery. Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere takes us on an urban adventure beneath the streets of London. Contemporary fantasy blends the magical with the modern world. Neil Gaiman's Coraline is a dark, whimsical tale of a girl who discovers a parallel world. The Ocean at the End of the Lane is another Gaiman masterpiece, blending memory and magic. Charlie N. Holmberg's The Paper Magician follows a young woman learning magic in an alternate version of Victorian England. Stardust by Neil Gaiman is a fairy tale for adults, full of adventure and romance. T.J. Klune's The House in the Cerulean Sea is a heartwarming story about a magical orphanage and the power of love and acceptance. Portal fantasy takes characters from our world to fantastical realms. Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland is a classic tale of a girl who falls down a rabbit hole into a bizarre world. C.S. Lewis's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe takes us to the magical land of Narnia. Neil Gaiman's Coraline brings us to a parallel world that's both enchanting and dangerous. Lev Grossman's The Magicians features a magical school in a hidden world, and Alex E. Harrow's The 10,000 Doors of January is a beautiful story about finding and opening magical doors. Grimdark fantasy offers a darker, more cynical view of the genre. Joe Abercrombie's The Blade itself is full of morally complex characters and gritty realism. Mark Lawrence's Prince of Thorns follows the ruthless Prince Jorg on his quest for power. Glenn Cook's The Black Company tells the story of a mercenary company in a world full of dark magic. Stephen Erickson's Malazan Book of the Fallen series is a sprawling, complex epic full of war, magic, and betrayal. Fantasy romance blends magical elements with love stories. Sarah J. Maas' A Court of Thorns and Roses is a captivating tale of love and danger. Diana Gabaldon's Outlander series blends time travel, romance, and historical fiction. Amy Harmon's The Bird and the Sword is a beautifully written love story set in a world of magic. William Goldman's The Princess Bride is a charming romantic fairy tale. Laini Taylor's Daughter of Smoke and Bones series is a breathtaking romance set in a world of angels and demons. Fantasy horror combines the eerie and the magical. Stephen King's The Stand is an epic tale of good versus evil in a post-apocalyptic world. The Shining is another King classic, blending psychological horror with supernatural elements. Joe Hill's Nosferatu is a chilling tale of a man who abducts children to a terrifying place called Christmas Land. Ray Bradbury's Something Wicked This Way Comes is a dark, atmospheric story about a sinister carnival. Neil Gaiman's Coraline is a haunting tale of a girl who discovers a parallel world that's not what it seems. That's just a taste of the incredible fantasy books out there. We've only scratched the surface with these highlights, but we've compiled a list of 100 must-read fantasy novels that will keep you enthralled for years to come. Be sure to check out the full list in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming book recommendations and fantasy discussions. Happy reading, and may your adventures be magical.